the women's retreat and the Lunenburg Pantry. Thank you for...
Welcome to the United Parish of Lunenburg. On behalf of the women's retreat and the Lunenburg Pantry, we thank you for your goodwill donations. There are baskets in the near the doors if you'd like to leave a goodwill donation there. The bathrooms are downstairs, either this exit or this exit. If you need to excuse yourself for that, feel free. Our performer this evening is a Native American style flute player and storyteller from the Nipmuc Nation. He plays locally for First Night, plays taps for military funerals. He has played at the Center for the Performing Arts in New Jersey for the coronation of the Bishop of the Episcopal Church. He has taught in classrooms in the area, including 2 of my classrooms. He plays at traditional Native American pyros in the area. He has played at Faneuil Hall. Please join me in welcoming Strong Eagle Daley.
It's not every day we see an eagle in its natural habitat. I've been playing flute now for 32 years. I've been making them for about that long as well. Lisa's father taught me a lot. He was a really incredible human being for one, and the other thing is carving. So he taught me a lot about carving birds and everything. So I add birds to my flute to just give it a little more something. Everybody has a totem or a thing that they like. So I try to make the flute personal, just for them. The vibration, as soon as I smudge it, as soon as I tune it, I don't touch it again. I give it to the person, and they breathe life into the wood. I'm a storyteller as well, and I've been telling stories for about 12 years, and I've gone different places to get these stories, and some of them from my nation. But the first one that I'd like to talk to you about is, do you know how a female eagle chooses her mate? I guess I'm the only one. When a female eagle is ready to choose a mate, and you know that eagles mate for life. So the female, what she'll do is begin preparing. She'll ruffle her feathers, clean them, and then she'll fly to an area where there are males flying. And she'll sit on the branch and watch each male fly. Sometimes it could be 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But she's looking for something specific. So she'll find a male eagle that she likes the way that he flies, and she'll fly with him. Now, they'll do all kinds of acrobatics. They'll fly up as high as they can, they'll lock talons, and then begin to spin. Now, before they hit the ground, they split apart. Now the real test begins. If he flies as well, the female eagle will go down to the ground and pick up a stick. She'll pick the stick up and fly as high as she can into the air. When she reaches a certain altitude, she drops the stick. Now, the job of the male is to catch the stick before it hits the ground. Now, this can go on for hours, maybe even days. And each time that she goes down to the ground to pick up a stick, sometimes the sticks get larger and larger. Sometimes about the size of a small log. If at any one time that male eagle doesn't catch all the sticks, the female eagle will fly up and say, "You're not what I'm looking for." That's typical, right? So what happens is, she'll keep doing this until she finds a male that'll catch all the sticks. And if he does, they make. Then they begin to build a nest as high away from predators and away from human beings. Now, when they have eaglets grow, and then in the nest, they begin to flap their wings. And as they flap their wings, they get more courage. And sometimes they leap out of the nest. And sometimes they don't fly correctly. It is the job of the male to catch his egret before it hits the ground. So, I asked the females in the audience, how well do you test your suitors before you allow them into your life? And I asked the males, are you willing to catch all the sticks for your mate? The end. I think the people in the audience, especially people my age, I mean, I used to be 6'1", now I'm older, I'm down to 5'7". So next story is one of my favorites. There lived to be a mother, a father, he had 3 children, and the father's father. And the grandfather was kind of getting along in age and wasn't able to do the things that he used to do. Sometimes he would fall down. Sometimes he would get in the way of other people. So the wife got kind of fed up with it. Went to her husband and said, you know, you got to do something with your father. He can't take care of himself. He's always in the way. So the father said, okay, I'll take care of it. So he goes into the lean-to, grabs a blanket, puts it over his arm, and he goes to look for his 12-year-old son. Finds his 12-year-old son. He says, son, I have something that I'd like you to do. And his son said, well, okay, Father, what do I need to do? He said, I want you to take your grandfather into the woods. Find a nice place for him. And I want you to leave him there. And make sure that he can't find his way back to the village. And his son didn't know what to say, but he was sort of in shock. And he said, when you find a nice place, I want you to take this blanket, wrap it around him, and come back to the village. And of course, for a 12-year-old to do that to a relative is kind of mind-boggling. So he did what the obedient son, he did what his father asked him to do. So he went, got his grandfather, and they began to walk into the woods. And of course, all this time walking, he began to think, is this how life is supposed to be? So after a while, after a couple hours of walking, he noticed a group of cedar trees, beautiful area to sit in, and he noticed a stump. He said this would be a good place for a grandfather to be. So he took his grandfather, placed him on the stump, took the blanket that his father had given him, tore the blanket in half, put half around grandfather, left him there, and he began his way back to the village. All the while wondering still, is this what life is about? He gets back to the village finally, and his father happens to see him, walks over to him and says, son, did you find a nice place for your grandfather? He says, yes, I did. It was in a beautiful cedar grove where everything smells fresh. And here I am, just at that moment, Father looks down and says, why did you tear the blanket in half? His son replied, Dad, I put half around grandfather. This half is for you when you get old. to help the young people. We call them the little people. We teach them different lessons about life. And we do this with 4 fires in the middle of the ceremonial area. And when they're lit, the elders gather around and tell this particular story. There is infancy, there is youth, there is adulthood, and there is when we leave. And we tell that story and make reference to the hand. The first finger represents infancy, truth, innocence. We don't know anything but that. That's who we are. We come into that. We don't judge anything. We just look at it as it is. We neither add to it nor subtract from it. It's just there. But we have a fascination for it. And then you have what we call the ring finger. This is your youth. This is where we make decisions. What am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? Am I going to go to work? Am I going to get a trade? That is the ring finger. Now, we have the middle finger. This is where adulthood is at. This is the time that your decisions have already been made, that you take care of your parents, you take care of your loved ones, you make decisions, you create different things. And if you notice, this finger is taller than the rest. This is the strongest. And then we have the pointer. This is where our kids have grown up, have left. We're in our golden years, which I'm still looking for. This is where you take care of your grandparents, the way they took care of you. And these 4 fingers cannot work without the thumb. The thumb represents the Creator. So, if you notice, you get shorter in your old age. Here's where you were. Here's where you start to, so, for lack of a better word, decline and regress. So, this finger, if you notice, stands next to the Creator. It is important for us. I know there's a few young people here that we take care of our elders. We listen to their stories because that's a library. That's a library. And one day that library book won't be there. That's why the elders are very important to who we are. And the other thing is the elders don't get into politics or anything. They're there to listen. They're there to guide. They're there to help you using their experience. They're not saying to take their experience and make it your own, which is, yes, you should. Don't do it verbatim, because make what is useful to you and discard the rest. That's the way you make it your own. So those are the 4 stages of life according to the Algonquin. We are part of the Algonquin nation. I'd like to play a special instrument. This is called a drum flute. And there's no tell you why. has 2 barrels here, 2 barrels here. This is a 4-chambered flute. 4 chambers of heart. 4 chambers, 4 seasons, the 4 directions, and the 4 races of people that inhabit this planet called Earth. And what we're doing to this Earth now, we're destroying the biggest community in this particular universe. And to me, we all have to come together as a people. Sure, we're going to have differences, and that's just what they are, it's just differences. But to me, when the people come together, I mean, that's what powwows mean. Powwow means together. And we only have powwows once a year. And this is when all the elders get together and they talk amongst each other and say, oh, Mary had a baby the other week. So I don't want to catch up on things and celebrate. Just like a married couple. You celebrate each day that you're with somebody that chose you. They're adding to what you already have. Nobody can make you feel complete. You're already complete. You're just adding another element. You're going to have your ups and downs and whatever. But still, celebrate each other each day. And that's what I try to do. I celebrate everybody that's in this audience. I try to be of service. The first place I go to when there's a powwow is I go to the elders. Even though I'm 76, but you're older than me. So I go to them because I want to learn something. I need help with something. Whether it be spiritual, whether it be on an emotional level, a feeling level. How can you help me deal with this? And I'm sure they've gone through this, all of it. So I go to them first, and then I go about my business and play for them. I play for the elders first. So to me, this particular flute represents community. We are indigenous to certain different areas and territories. But we're all indigenous to the planet. Okay? We're all indigenous to the planet. So I have this flute that I like to play. And looks like there's a lot more ladies in here. So I will not be responsible for what happens after I play. Her name is Willie. And she is one of the most incredible human beings that I was fortunate to raise. She's on her own journey now. She's 24. She's grown. I can't tell her what to do anymore. She tells me what to do. And I wrote a book on, I have a gift for some of you who are interested. I brought some CDs, I didn't bring enough, but it's my gift to you for being in the audience. And the first song is called Willow Song. When my daughter was in the womb, I recorded her heartbeat. And I made a song out of it. It's called Willow Song. And I went into the studio, heard the heartbeat, played to the heartbeat. And after the engineer mastered it and did everything, I took it home to my daughter. I said, honey, this is what Dad did to honor you. And she's my only child. And she listened to it. And I said, yeah. She said, well, that's not bad, Dad. I said, well, thank you. And I said, that heartbeat is yours. And I said, whenever when you were in Mommy's tummy, I would bring my flutes out and I would play to you and I would talk to you. You know what her response was? Did I answer you? I could not stop laughing. I mean, not at all. So what I did is I wrote something that even though I am talking by playing my flute to my daughter inside the womb, I did a response from her speaking inside the womb to me. And that's the first song that everybody hears on the CD that they just really love. And I had such a thrill doing it. And I did a journal with my daughter. And the journal was called Growing Up with Willow. Because I learned quite a bit from my daughter. I mean, absolutely. She was sent to trim off the rough edges of it. So I lived out in California for a while. I came back and I have a child, and I said, well, okay, I got to do the responsible thing. This is my only child, and I didn't have her until I was 59. So I said, well, Spirit took pity on me and gave me a child. Because I was okay with it, not having kids, and then she just couldn't wait anymore, and she popped in. We went, took an ultrasound. We went to see the ultrasound, me and my wife at the time. And I'll never forget this. My daughter, in the womb, has her hands behind her head and her legs crossed. So, hi, Mom and Dad, it's getting old. I'm ready to come out. And I couldn't stop laughing for that. So I've had many, many wonderful experiences to watch something grow, to watch and see the future. Because Native people have a saying that we, as a human being, can affect 7 generations in the past and 7 generations into the future. So this is what I do. This is what I like. This is being with people. I'm here to be of service to you. I like doing it. I'm feeling good at it, and I can only get better. I have a couple more songs, if you don't mind. This goes to, what time do you want me to?
7:30.
Oh, Mine's like a story. this particular African country, when the village finds out that a woman is going to give birth, the mother goes into the woods, deep into the woods, and she'll take two of her friends with her. And for days she'll meditate to find out the child's song. We all come into this world with a song. We all have it. And then when she begins to hum it, she starts to get the feel for it, then the words come. And then when she's comfortable enough with learning the words, she'll teach her two friends. And then when everybody learns the child's song, they go back to the village and teach everyone in the village the child's song. Now, when the mother is ready to deliver, the community gathers and they sing the child's song. They sing them into life, or her life. Because that song tells them who you are. Not the what do you call them, acronyms. We're not acronyms. We're not titles. We're human beings, and that's who we think we are. You know? So when the child gets maybe into trouble, they don't yell at the child, they don't scold the child, they don't beat the child. The mother will go around and gather all the village, sit that young man or young lady in the middle of a circle, and they begin to sing the child's song because he or she lost his way. And that song is to remind them of who you are. So each of us, one of the classes that I taught, I did this ceremony, I had one lady come in and I said, what's your favorite song? She said, oh, I like Amazing Grace. I said, oh, yeah, everybody knows that, right? Yeah. So we put her in the middle. And there were 30 people around her, big circle. And I sang Amazing Grace. She said it was the most powerful thing that she'd ever experienced. So ladies and okay, if you get an opportunity to do that, you know, you can't go wrong. Because then something inside you clicks, wakes you up. Say, I'm not this. I'm not just a doctor. I'm not all these titles. We have to be willing to give up the things people expect from us. Like, this is who you are. No. If you're willing to give that up, because that's the first challenge, then you will discover who you really are. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. the little ones how to play flute. And I'll tell you, it's a very interesting class. Because everybody wants to be on the mic. They want to go on the mic. So I had to do the talking feather routine to them. I mean, know what the talking feather is. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, that one. So then when I hear little sounds like that, little chirps, all I'm doing is tick, 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 tick. And then I lift up the fingers. I'll demonstrate. And this one is. And then you have the other one is that's all it is. And there's cross fingering, which I couldn't get for a long time. I didn't even know what it was. So I would play just regular notes. I don't read music. I can play by ear. But what's the most important to me is when I get in front of an audience, I'd rather play from the heart. You know, that is more important for me. You know, is to, because when the heart touches the heart and the mind touches the mind, then we can have a serious dialogue. Because we're all open. We're all having fun. There's no judgments. Just being. Just a state of being and sharing. You know, I sat down with many people and just to hear what they have to say. And I've learned a lot from women. I'm going to tell you what. Men are fixers. They like fixing things. Oh, honey, I understand. Well, you know, hug them. Don't hug them when you're expressing yourself. Don't do that. You take these two ears. That's all you do. Is you sit there and you say, okay, I understand. That's all I want. Don't give them advice. Worst thing you can do. But just to listen. And don't have so many thoughts going on that you can't wait to get in there and ask this question. And that don't work either. You'll either, you know, take a bottle to your head or, you know, they won't sleep in the same room with you. You know how it is. I've been there. But it's taken me a long time to understand that. They just want to be listened to. Men who don't believe in crying or all that other stuff, that mushy stuff. I'm going to tell you, I've cried. So what? I'm vulnerable. So what? I get to be authentic when I'm here, speaking. I get to be myself. And not everything for me was easy. You know, it took me 20 years to understand or have an inkling of what women are about. And when I was married, I'd celebrate our differences. I'd celebrate our weaknesses, both hers, both mine. And I celebrated our strengths. And I always made sure that we had a night for just her and I. Friday was date night. Kids going to babysitters, we're going to dinner, and I'll dress up. I like dressing up. Have a tie. That's when I'm not native. And have a good time, just her and I. And we get to open up. You know, when you did this, you know, last week, or, you know, I felt really hurt, and I said, okay, maybe I didn't see it that way, but, you know, would share, and let's talk it out. So she would get the floor first, and I would just listen. That's all, just listen. I wasn't forming anything. Questions to ask her. I looked right into her, became a part of what she was explaining. And to me, that's a successful relationship. That's being. That's being. Because in a relationship, it's all about being of service to each other. You know, good or bad. Okay, now I'm off my seat. Actually, the soapbox is up there. I'm going to try something. Bear with me. I brought my accompaniment. I'd like you to meet them. Pretty clear. And we pause for stages to identify ourselves. Didgeridoo. I play that too. I didn't bring it. bird. There was a story about an old chief of his tribe, his area. Very well spoken by everybody in the tribe. He brought the tribe back from being the weakest to the strongest in the region. But he was getting on in age. And there were 3 or 4 young men thought that they needed a younger chief, more violent, more bold, more dashing. So they came up with a plan. The plan was that they would catch a bird, put it in the hand, and then go to the chief and say, which hand is the bird in? And of course, if he said the right hand, they would crush the bird. If it was the left hand, they would switch it. So when they came together and they worked out all of the plan, they came before the chief. He says, one of us is going to be the chief. But my 2 brothers here allow me the honor to do that. And the old chief is just sitting there, has a blanket over his shoulders. He's standing there, he's looking down at the ground. All the people are around and gathered and said, oh, maybe the chief is too old. He's not saying anything. So the young man says, grandfather, which hand do I have the bird in? The chief stood there a long time, and everybody in the village was saying, oh, maybe it's time that we get somebody younger. And even though we have all of this privilege that he brought to our village, it might be time for him to step down. So again, the young man asked him, which hand do I have the bird in? And the father stepped forward, put his hands behind him, and he says, grandson, the answer to that question is in your hands. Can't mess with an elder. Well, this has been quite an experience for me. Thank you for letting me be a clown. Thank you for accepting me exactly the way I am. Thank you for just your presence. It means a lot to me, and when I was playing the drone flute, the notes that were coming out of the end of my flute were going to different people, different colors. So I don't know if you felt that, but I hope you did. And I'd like to come back here because there's something about this group that I really like. One of them is you laugh at my jokes. And I'd like to thank my good friends Lisa and Tom Mitchell. I mean, I'm very close to them. She's like my little sister. He's like my little big bro. And we're having. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa.
We'd like to thank you very much for coming. Everyone who came out tonight, I know it's kind of icky out with the rain and everything, but we really appreciate it, and we appreciate your goodwill offerings. If you'd like to come downstairs and for some treats and to meet Strong Eagle and have a chance to chat with him a little bit, maybe he might show you his flutes. And does have CDs with him. So, but if you'd like to meet him and have some treats with us, come on downstairs. Thank you very much. Yes?
Can I ask a question? Do you, each one of those songs, you only play them on the flute you played it on? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Oh, do you ever play the same melodies on different flutes?
No.
No, okay.
Different. There's two flutes that I have that I didn't bring tonight, because they're still around.
So if you did, they would sound different?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
The cedar one, when everything, when they're all the holes are closed, that's an F sharp. And each hole is a different note. Like I said, I tune my flutes to themselves. Native people didn't have the G clefs and do re mi kind of thing. So at this stage of my age, I'm a modern Indian.
Can you play the scale on that?
No. This is a pentatonic scale. So that's
Thank you.
that's all. And the double one. That was,
That was lovely.
I told you, the ladies. Notice the guys are not speaking. Just
You and I are
saying.
gonna go downstairs. Yeah, they do have a very different scale than the Western flute. The Western standard C flute is in a certain tuning, and like Eagle said, depending on the wood, depending on the size, they have different scales, and it doesn't always follow what we know as a scale. They have their own tunings and their own scales.
And how we got the holes in here is we would heat up an iron, not an iron, thick, long iron, and then we burn this out. And then there's 2 holes on the top. The air comes in here, comes up, and there's a little channel that connects these 2 holes. Show and tell. And what it does is the air slides across and goes down into the flute. And then you got your holes that play.
Can you explain to us how you did that trilling? That was amazing.
Oh, the chirps. Let me get this together. I'll do that.
I presume it's something with your tongue.
Oh, don't presume. We don't do that. You're talking about. You know how you used to suck your teeth when your mom was yelling at you? It's kind of like that. But you have a little bit. The tongue vibrates at the top of the mouth, the roof of the mouth. And then you go. Anything else?
Is there a reed?
Is there a beat?
Is there a reed?
No. This, it's just a channel. Some have reeds. I don't like the reeds. I just never, it just didn't feel right to me. But everybody's different. You know, I couldn't play the clarinet, but I can play this. You have a question?
Yeah, the double barrel or
Yep.
whatever you call it.
Everybody calls it
What,
that.
yeah, is there a name for that? Or?
Yeah, it's called the drone.
The drum.
I'll explain that.
It's a similar principle to a bagpipe, right? With the drum in it, if you do the sound. Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna argue with that, because that's what you hear, right? But
Is it just drone one pitch?
one pitch. This stays one pitch. And when I lift each finger, it's like a harmony with this. This side doesn't do anything but stay who it is, right? One note. And then you have your 6, sometimes they're 5-hole flutes. And then you have your different holes. One side, this is the side that stays the same, one note. The other side is where you play your melody. And then I have 4 holes here for each side. So that's why it's called a 4-chambered flute. So this I didn't make. This was made by Hawk Littlejohn. He was Cherokee, and he made this specially for me because this instrument, the tree, was literally struck by lightning. So it changes the molecules in the wood.
Oh, wow.
So I've had this for almost 20 years. And it's still plays the same. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of wood is it?
It's poplar.
Oh.
Poplar. But my favorite wood is really cedar, because that's how we did everything with cedar. You know, or juniper, you call them juniper. But cedar is really smells nice. I'm working on a flute now where, how many know what sweetgrass is? Okay, I'm trying to put sweetgrass in here. So every time that you play, the aroma goes on. So this little brain is still coming up with things that I can do. But I got a lot of fun. And it is, I mean, to get a whole bunch of people playing flutes, it's amazing. I mean, everybody sounds like our Carlos Nakai or somebody else, but they have a whole lot of fun. And usually there's 50 in the class. You know, little flutes, big flutes. Bass flutes. So this is what they mean by the big guns. So this is made out of cedar. I've had this, this is 22 years. And this is how I got started. This was my second flute. The cedar one was my first flute. So, and then I just, you got time for one?
Yeah.
I don't know if your parents want you in.
Change their clocks before they go to bed tonight.
I only have one clock. Sun up, sun down. Make it less complicated. When I began, I just wanted to make flutes. I couldn't play like the other people, and that was a lesson in itself because you can't compare yourself to somebody else. You're different. You know, you're built differently. But when I first played the flute, it sounded terrible. Oh my God! I said, maybe I'll just stick to just making it. And then one day I went to an elder who made flutes for 60 years. And he was an Anishinaabe chief. And I went to him and said, you know, I really like to learn how to play. And he said, well, go ahead. I said, well, play. Just go up and play from here. And at that time, I didn't know what he meant. So he said, it'll come to you. It'll come to you. And I said, you know, go to the cave or go to a brook or something, play the birds that fly by. Some fly high, some fly low, some fly medium. Play the trees, tall trees, medium trees, short trees. You know, play the brook, babbling brook. So I went out. I lived in Sedona, Arizona at the time. That was my awakening. I was waiting for the spaceships to come down and motherships stuff. And I went out to Three Warriors Mountain. That's where I did my vision quest. The vision quest is something that a young man goes out to find out his purpose in life. And I stayed 4 days and 3 nights on the mountain. No food, no water, no clothes. Just a blanket, because that's what we were born. The first thing they do when you give you a blanket, wrap yourself up in it. And I used that experience. I went into it's a cave, but when I heard this, I said I'll stay outside. And I moved, you know, down a little bit further and sat on the rock. And I said, well, here it goes. So there was a squirrel, you know, doing his things with the nuts and everything. And he looked at me, I looked at him. And I said, oh, go, my first audience. So I grabbed my flute and I started playing and he took off. And I said, well, so a week later I come back, I talked to the elder again, I told him what happened. He said, well, can't win. And he said, try it again. He said, go deeper within yourself. You know, let your ego get out of the way. There's no really, you're not judging yourself. So stop with that. Just play. Nobody can play your song better than you. You just have to find the right keys or the right notes that'll bring that out. Well, I did. I was outside the cave and I started to play, and I thought I was doing pretty good. And I closed my eyes, and grandfather said, get in touch with your heart. You know, play from the heart. Don't worry about what it sounds like. Well, I must have played for a good 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I opened my eyes, and there were all these butterflies all around me, and landed on my flute, and a couple landed on my head. I was so excited. I said, wow, I did it. So I ran back to the elder and told him what happened. He said, well, that's pretty impressive. But do you know that butterflies are deaf? Right, it was the vibration that they felt. That didn't do much for my ego when you told me. But I've had many, I've traveled to Japan. First night, as Lisa said, and the bishop called me up and said, I would like you to play at my coronation. So I thought it was going to be like the size of this, you know, and the ones with the funny hats come in, you know, and guide them up the stairs and stuff. And you said, okay, I want you in the balcony. I said, in the balcony? Where are we going? He says, oh, I just bought you a ticket to New Jersey. I said, okay. So when it was my turn to go into the building, there were 2,000 people there. And I'm sitting here saying, this is a lot different than the butterflies. And then again, I had to go back and remember what the elder said. And it came out really, really, really well. And the bishop came up to me and gave me a hug and said, you did a wonderful job. And all these people came up. And it was the New Jersey for the Center for the Performing Arts. I didn't realize how big of a venue it is. So that was my first experience with a crowd that big. So I've been very fortunate. And no matter who, you know, when the venue was announced, you know, there were only 2 people that showed up. But I still did the performance. Because they were sincere. I'm not going to say, oh no, 2 little people. I don't do that. You know, you're there for a reason. So if I can bring comfort, some kind of comfort to them, or help them release something, some kind of grief or something, and the flute somehow give them permission to let go. You know, so I'm very fortunate to have the people that I play for. And so this is an amazing experience. I want to thank you for a great evening.
Thank you.
Now we're going downstairs to have
Please join us downstairs.
We got 7 and 7.
Yes.
Just a walk down here.